Hi, welcome to SEN Education for All. We felt that in order to be accessible as possible and to give an explanation of who we are, we'd do a video to explain what it is that we actually do. I am aware that, how do I put it, advocates aren't always looked in as a positive light, that there are some advocates out there, let's just say we all work differently. And I just wanted to give you an idea on who we are at Education for All and how we work. So we are a SEN advocacy company. We have two groups on Facebook. One is for professionals and one is for families. We provide a lot of free posts and free webinars within our groups. And we have the services, we answer questions when we can. But also, as well as all of the free stuff that we do offer, we have our advocacy service, which ranges from, I'm going to go through each service that we offer and talk you through exactly what that actually includes. So if we start at the very beginning, which is our email subscription. So email subscription, it includes unlimited emails with an advocate. So basically, for your subscription cost, you can email an advocate as much as you want, as many times as you want. There is no limit at all, and we will help with any questions you may have, any support that you may need. It covers complaint support with LAs and schools, etc. So whether it's asking questions on best ways to word things or how to write a complaint, checking professional reports to ensure they are specific. So if you have any reports that you've received and you're unsure whether they're specified, quantified, whether they're at tribunal or EHCP standards, or whether they could do any changes, that's all included in our email subscription as well. Monthly information booklet that go with the group webinar. So the free webinar that is within our group, you can purchase the webinar booklet on the website every month, a few days before the webinar is due. But if you've got the email subscription service, you get a free copy of that. The advice we can offer is any advice around EHCP advice and SEN advice. And that is all included with the monthly subscription. Then we'll go and have a look at our documents and package work. So if we look first at our single services, so what basically it means is a single service just means that service, and then you're paying for that part, whereas a package is the full between 2 points, which I'll go through as well. So the single EHC needs assessment service, it basically involves we use any reports, letters and emails that you have to pull out all the content to identify special educational needs provision that's currently in place. So if the child has a SEN plan or a SAT plan or an IEP, if you've got any reports, any medical letters, anything that shows any difficulties that could impact on the school day, impact on their access to education, that kind of information, we'll pull all that information out and put it into a submission parent assessment letter. We will use the information sent out in a letter to show how your child meets the criteria set out within the Children and Families Act 2014, Section 36. So under the Section 36 Children and Families Act, where it states that a child is entitled to an EHC needs assessment, there's two parts. There's the part where it's part one, or part A, is a child has or may have special educational needs. So when the information that I've just said we'll pull out, we'll use that information to show that your child has or may have needs. Part 2 is your child has or may need provision. There, any recommendations for support, anything additional to what you'd expect a child need that's identified in any of that provision, we would put in there. Even if the school are not doing it, or the school have on records that there's these provisions in place but they're not actually doing it, we still use that to evidence that the child might need provision. We're not saying that it's all being done, we're just evidencing that the child might need provision. Then we will email your letter and the evidence you need to send it, along with who to send it to your local authority. So you'll get an email attached with the submission letter and all your evidence. And in the email, we'll tell you exactly, who to send it to submit it as a parental EHCP. Now that's for a single service. So that's where that service would end. The next service on in our single services is draft checks. So for a draft check, we will cross-reference all the reports to ensure that all needs and provision is within the EHCP. So anything that is not included, we would include. If it's included, so for example, if you have a provision that's been recommended, so just as an example, if your EP recommends zones of regulation and then the OT also recommends zones of regulation, we'd only include that once. Because also, as well as making sure all needs and provision are included, we also need to make sure that it's a readable and usable document. So it is a balance at times, but we make sure that balance is right and that all your child's needs are picked up correctly. We will ensure that the information within the EHC plan is within the right area. What we've noticed just recently, especially, is that there are other LAs that are actually putting, like, for example, sensory needs in communication and interaction. That's incorrect. We move it and make sure it also gets it in the right section. Also, sometimes when provision has been put in health or social care, really they should be in BNF. So we will read that and make sure that is in the right area as well. We will comment on outcomes that are not SMART, so specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So all comments must be SMART. We will make comments using legislation, case law, and guidance where the draft is lacking in terms of specification and quantification. So when we do our draft checks, we colour code it. In blue is comments, additions that we are asking, or anything that we're asking to be taken away. Anything in green is a comment. It is where we're saying the draft lacks, or you need to add more content, or there's no specification or quantification where it could be. It's where we quote case law and legislation to show them what we need and what we need to ask for it to be a fit for purpose EHCP. So you'll get them two different colours. It's always in bold, but we always use blue, so then you know what we're asking them to add or take away, and green, so you know where we're commenting and telling them that they need to do more. So our next single service we're going to talk about is working document. So slightly different to how it works with a draft check, because now we're working with a tribunal key. So what our working document service involves is we'll cross-reference all your reports with the working document, adding and using the tribunal key, anything that isn't currently included. We will strike out any needs and provision that are not relevant or suitable. So if there's any additions, whether they're repetitive, whether they're not actually saying anything or meaning anything, there's many reasons why we might cross it out. Usually there would be some form of explanation, or it'd be clear why, or we'd have a conversation with you if you're unsure anyway on why. We would make wording suggestions to ensure that it is specified and quantified. So we would tighten wording up where we could, where we're not changing the meaning. The thing is to remember when it comes to the working document and draft as well, we cannot write provision. We can make suggestions on changes of wording. We can ask them to include what's missing, and we can point out where provision's lacking or is not specified and quantified and doesn't necessarily mean anything. However, what we can't do is rewrite provision, and if we do make changes on suggested wording, we have to ensure that it's not changing the meaning of the provision that the professionals recommended. We will footnote all information we are requesting to be added. So anything that we add, we will footnote it. So then when you send it back to the LA are very clear what, where and which report that information has come from. We'll use the Microsoft Word function to make comments. So there's a comment function that we would use to make comments, and the LAs often use that as well. The service is not just the second version, or it's the full working document services. From the first version you send to us, we'll do version 2. You'll send that back to the LA, they'll do version 3, then you'll send it to us and we'll do version 4. It is until you get to the point where you're either at a deadlock, everything's agreed, and not deadlock, sorry, everything's agreed and there's no need for the tribunal anymore because you've got there, or you're at a deadlock and there's still some outstanding provisions that you want, or in or out, whatever it is, and the LA don't agree. But we would, through whole of that working document point, the single service does cover. Next thing to talk about, refusal to issue in our single service. So when it's refusal to issue, our appeal package single service involves completion of the SEN 35A form, a comprehensive written grounds of appeal document highlighting your case. So we do a grounds of appeal, all evidence sorted and referenced ready to be submitted, all documentation to be emailed to you along with instructions on how to submit to SENDIS to register the appeal. So if we're not representative or advocate on your appeal, then we won't be able to submit it, but we do send you an email of what to write in the email. So basically you just need to copy and paste it, send it to the address that we've told you to do, and that is it submitted. And then make sure you attach the document that we do send to you. I think there was something else I was going to say on that one, but I've forgotten. Oh, we always send you a draft version of it just to make sure that all details are correct. I'm not perfect. I do make mistakes. So I always run it through you first to make sure that it's correct, factually correct. Next single package is refusal to issue. So our refusal to issue is includes completion of the SEN 35 form, a comprehensive written grounds of appeal document highlighting your case, referencing and sorting all your evidence to be submitted with the above, and we will email you all your documentation along with instructions on how to submit the documents to register the appeal. So pretty similar to the last one, apart from it's just a different form. And again, we would email a draft across and ask you to check the form and the grounds of appeal just to make sure it's all factually accurate and correct. Next single service is a contents and placement appeal, and this includes completing the SEN 35 form, a comprehensive written grounds of appeal highlighting your case, organising and referencing all the evidence to be sent, and we will send you the required documentation and the instructions to register the appeal. Again, we always send a draft of the SEN 35 form and the grounds of appeal, so then that we can make sure it's factually accurate and correct. The next single service is the cease to maintain appeal. So what this involves is the completion of the SEN 35 form, a comprehensive written grounds of appeal service highlighting your case, organising and referencing all your evidence to be submitted, and we will email you all the documentation and instructions to register your appeal. Again, we send a draft for this one as well to make sure that this one's factually accurate. Our last single service is extended appeal. And this one includes the completion of the SEN 35 form, a comprehensive written grounds of appeal, document highlighting your case, organising and referencing of all the evidence to be submitted, and we will email you the documentation along with instructions on how to submit for registration. And again, you would get a draft copy so that you could check and make sure that everything is factually accurate and correct. Then we go on to our packages. So our first full package is what we call the EHC needs assessment to EHCP. And basically what this means is this is from right the beginning, from the parental submission right the way through till you've got an EHCP that's fit for purpose and a school setting that is suitable. So what this includes is a submission of a written EHC needs assessment request, comprehensive written appeal and completion of forms and submission for any appeals that may need to be registered at all stages. So regardless of what stage it is, if we need to register an appeal, it is included. Attendance at any meeting, at any mediation meeting, sorry. So if you decide you want to do mediation, we will be there with you. Meetings with the LAN professionals, so any meetings that come up with any of the LAs and any professionals, we are there with you. You know, sometimes people decide, like for example, if you're meeting with EP to discuss the report, not the report as such, but to discuss the assessment part where they're assessing your child, you might not decide you want us there. But if you do, it's there. Working document, if it's required. Complete applying with all tribunal directions. So whenever you register an appeal and you get tribunal directions, we'll ensure all of them are adhered to and submitted. All emailing with the LA and tribunal, so any emailing that needs to go between the LA, you, tribunal, or anyone basically. We always would discuss any emails before we send them majority of the time. There might just be a quick one or two where it's just a yes or no response that we need to give back and we already know what your response would be. But most of the time we would have a discussion prior to emailing them about it. And any support calls that you need. So anytime you feel like you need a support call, you need to talk to us, that's all included. And that is our EHC needs assessment to EHCP full package. The next full package we offer is the refusal to assess/issue. So this is, you know, it's whether you're at the first or the second stage, but it's the same package, if that makes sense. So what it includes is a written comprehensive grounds of appeal highlighting your case, completion of the SEN 3535A form, depending on whether it's issue or assess, organising and referencing all evidence, submitting the appeal to the be registered. All emailing between the LA and tribunal. The tribunal submissions complying with tribunal directions. Any meetings with the LAs or professionals and any support call needed. So all of that is included in the refusal to assess or refusal to issue full package. Our last full package that we offer is the contents and placement package. So this one includes a written comprehensive grounds of appeal highlighting your case, completion of the SEN 35 form, organising and referencing all evidence, submitting the appeal to be registered, all emailing between the LA and tribunal, all tribunal submissions complying with tribunal directions, any meetings with LA or professionals, working document amendments using the tribunal key, referenced with a footnote using all reports, support calls when needed. So that is our contents and placement full package. Then we have our support calls, which there's 3 that we offer. We offer a support call, which is 1-to-1, which is where you get 60 minutes of conversation, or up to 60 minutes. Sometimes people don't need a full 60 minutes, where we answer any questions you've got, any queries you've got, anything you need, basically. Some people prefer to do it in email, some people need to speak, and that's what the support call's for. We also have a 15-minute discovery call where you can talk to us about what we offer and what might work best for you. And we also have a group support call, which is 60 minutes again for up to 4 people, where you might want to come with a few friends and sit and have a call together, and all of you ask anything you need, just to give you another option. And then we have our workshops that we do for support groups and charities. We have workshop 1, which is an introduction to SEND and EHCP support. Workshop 2, which is EHCP process, the timeline. Workshop 3 is navigating an EHCP appeal. Let's have a look. I think I've covered The only other things that we've got additional that I haven't really talked about is the 2 signed copies of our books, the first one is signed copy of PDA My Way, and the second one is You Cannot Be a Mother, You Are Autistic. Now, I just want to be clear that that book is not about not being able to be a mother because you're autistic. It's about what we went through as a family when we was being accused of fee and emotional abuse, when we were seeking out support for the boys when they were in school and they were struggling. And it was a professional who actually stated in her paperwork that she felt that I was unable to be a mother because I'm autistic. So that is actually quite a raw book about that time for us, and how what we went through, what the impact on us were. I'm sure you all know what PDA My Way is already. It's a written book about PDA and the impact it has on me in life, and how that might help other people, hopefully. We also have our webinar booklet there that you can purchase if you don't have the what do you call it? The email subscription and you've decided you want to do it. Now, we don't talk a very lot. I'll be honest with you. I'm always honest because I am who I am. I really, really struggle with being seen as a professional because of who I am, because of how I am and how my neurodivergence affects me. I'll be honest with you that I really, really struggle with imposter syndrome, and I really, really struggle to accept what my level of knowledge actually is. So I obviously do not focus a lot on what we do manage to achieve. And I also look at it I struggle to look at it as wins. What we achieve is achieved through fights. It's achieved through a long battle, and families have been through an awful lot to get there. So I'd rather see it as an achievement or a gaining of the right education than a win. That's not to say that I'm not proud of what SEN Education for All is. As much as I do struggle to say that I have got knowledge, but I have. I do know what I'm talking about. I do know what I'm doing. If I have any doubts in what I do, or if I feel that what you need is beyond my expertise, I am honest and I will tell you. And I will point you in the right direction if I know somebody who's got that level of expertise. But when it comes to my draft checks or working documents or appeals or the packages, I'm super confident in what I do. I am super confident in what Laura does. We do our best to support you and your children and get things to be the best way possible. It might not always seem clear when we do a document and send it back to you and you're looking at it like going, what? When it comes to drafts and working documents, sometimes we might ask for more just so then we can try and get what it is we really need to use that as leverage. But yeah, I did want to be clear that I might not sit here and say, I don't blow my own trumpet, so to speak, and I find it very, very difficult to do. But what I am saying in this moment in time, I can do it. We can do it. We have our down days. We have our days where anxiety is the life, but we still fight every single day, get up and get on with it. And doing that and supporting all of you lot and getting children into the right placements and where they should be is why we do it, and it's what drives us in life, and it's what we get out of bed in the morning for, especially not just for our own kids but to do what we can for all of you lot. And I just want to say, although sometimes I probably put people off because I don't always come across as a super confident person who knows what I'm doing, I do. I just have really gut-wrenching anxiety that does sometimes make it very difficult for me to come across as that confident person who knows what they're doing. But please be rest assured, I put my all into everything I do for you all, which is why we do gain more well, I say gain more positives and negatives, but it's very, very rare that we don't actually manage to just checking because I thought a signal dropped and lose my recording. There's very, very few times that we actually don't manage to achieve something. More often than not we do, and we manage to avoid hearing, which is what we work for. Not always the possible, but we do work to avoid hearings, etc., and all of that kind of stuff. And also, if you do come to me and I do say to you, for example, if you need a draft check, if you decide you want to do a draft check, but you know you're going to come to appeal in the end, and that the draft, no matter what you say you'll do, the draft's never going to be fit for purpose without a hearing, because you know what your LA is like, and you say that to me, I'm going to say, well, don't do the draft check then, save your money and use that at appeal, because I'm not here to make money off you all where I can. I'm here to support you to get the best possible result. So if I do say that to you, I'm not trying to put you off. I'm not trying to send you away. I'm doing it because I genuinely feel you're better off saving your money, because that process is not going to help, and save it for a process that is going to help. I think sometimes my brutal honesty puts people off, but I'm just me. And I am dead proud of where SEN Education for All is now as we approach our 3rd year. So yeah, but that's it. I just wanted to sit and give you all a big understanding of who we are and what we do and what all of our services means, because I always know when you step out into this world, it's not always clear what each of them are. But yeah, thank you. Bye.